everybody. Welcome to What Drives Us, episode 436. Let's see, it's December 8th, 2021. My name is Russell Frost, I think, and I used to be the host of this show. I can't keep track anymore. Let me introduce the panelists who I know all have defined roles and names that I'm familiar with, and we will get this show on the road. My friend in the Great White North, the founder of the Waterloo Regional Electric Vehicle Association, and most importantly, the host of the Tesla Life, Mr. Mark.
Yeah, that part.
Love that radio voice.
Thank you.
He lowers it like 3 octaves.
I'm just talking more quietly and closer to the microphone. That's all. That's
Very
the key to
good.
Midnight FM radio voice.
Yes, indeed. Which, of course, this show is Midnight FM Radio.
The only time I was on the radio, I had the midnight to 3 shift. Thank you. Thank you very much. So,
welcome everyone to the show. We've got some interesting topics to dive into tonight. Let's get to it.
Absolutely. And speaking of interesting, my friend in Northern California, where it is not nearly as cold and inhospitable as it is here in San Diego, he says about the guy putting the blanket on. Georgia McKenzie, hello.
Define cold and inhospitable, because I'm basically wearing a blanket, full socks, and a poofy coat at 62. I have absolutely no body warmth. See, that's freezing.
That's 35 here.
I'm basically a lizard. So there you go.
I'm wearing socks and pants. Which
Georgia, when are you getting that heat rock installed in the back of your house?
You know, if it weren't costly to have a heat lamp big enough for me, I would you would just this camera would turn on and you'd see this beautiful golden light all around me, and I'd be like, yo, peace, I'd be fine. Why else do you think I'm wearing the fuzzy bear outfits and whatnot? Because these things are warm. I am basically a lizard. Me and the cat would be fighting over a heating pad right now. You just see fisticuffs, 2 little paws going right at me.
I love the idea of you curled up on a heat rock during the show. You know,
isn't that what everybody does? Oh boy!
Now I'm thinking, where can I get a human-sized heat rock? I don't know. Well, speaking of someone who needs a human-sized heat rock, it is apparently 35 degrees in the Mid-Atlantic region, and our king of the supercharger reviews, Mr. Kacey Green, is here.
Howdy. So, yeah, there's a supercharger coming up around, right around the corner from the other one that's around the corner from my house. I'm watching it go. And we had snow this morning after a doctor's appointment. So that was interesting. But we'll watch it and see what's going on.
Very nice. Well, I'm glad that the cold weather hasn't overtaken you. Speaking of a man who is never overtaken by events, he is the founder and owner of Boulder Hybrids in Boulder, Colorado, Mr. Paul Guzik.
You're muted.
You're muted, Paul. Sorry.
Sorry about that. Glad to be back. I'm in the middle of the country and middle in the temperature range. We're about 50 degrees here. So not as cold as Mark and Kacey, but a little warmer than some of you.
There you go.
Let us know if we should get you a heat rock for your
Only kitty with the heat rock.
Exactly. Okay, well, we actually have news topics to discuss. So let's get those topics on the board. I think we're starting off with, Georgia McKenzie has something about government subsidies. I don't know what that's about.
Well, Elon Musk has an opinion. Really?
On so much stuff.
On so many things that have nothing to do with whatever he could possibly be an expert on. But he says the government should get rid of all government subsidies. He doesn't like the infrastructure plan. He thinks that, especially, those subsidies for buying EVs that just happen to be union created and homegrown. No idea why that could be something he dislikes. He thinks we spent so much money, the federal budget deficit is insane. He's pointed out that Tesla has been selling its electric cars without the $7,500 federal tax credit, without taking any demand hits, which is great. The problem is that every other EV manufacturer, except General Motors, is eligible for the credit. So Musk feels that we should cut out subsidies.
Well,
You
yeah,
might
not
be
General Motors.
surprised. You might be surprised to find out I agree. I would love if he returns that $900 million in FCC subsidies to bring internet to rural areas. That was December 7th, 2020. So right there, I see 900 million we could get back. Let's see, he's used subsidies. There's 4.9 billion in government subsidies, and that was as of June 2015, has gone to 3 companies affiliated with Mr. Musk. Solar City, who is 28th in the list of top recipients of federal subsidies for 2015. SpaceX, as if are we all going to get to go on the spaceship? And Tesla Motors, ranked 22nd. So maybe he could return that 4.9 billion. See, now my thing is I approve of absolutely not subsidizing rich people in their companies that want to do experimental things. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you're asking us to subsidize that, because the government is American people and citizens and non-citizens alike pay taxes which go into those subsidies. And I don't mind investing in companies who understand that they're creating something for a future that's going to come.
Oh.
Elon just cut her off.
That's
Shouldn't be
quite the
saying that over
counterpoint.
Starlink.
Quite a counterpoint.
Self-deported. There she is.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to blame
You shouldn't say that over Starlink, Georgia.
I'll say whatever it is I want. You can't stop me. But okay, the thing is that subsidies are an investment. Tesla was a good investment by the American taxpayer and the American government that gave Elon Musk billion-dollar company. All right, that was an investment. These investments are going to go primarily to people who cannot afford Teslas but do want to buy an EV. It's an investment in our future. That's why we're doing it. And to have Elon Musk come in and say that we shouldn't have any subsidies at all, well, that's kind of ridiculous. He wouldn't have Tesla without that subsidy. He wouldn't have that without the investment we made in him. And this is an investment we're making in ourselves. The thing is that subsidies and earmarks and everything are often labeled as expenses. This is not an expense. This is a necessary part of having a functioning society. We have to reinvest in ourselves. We have to reinvest in our infrastructure. And yes, if we want to have jobs and good companies that are successful, we reinvest even in companies that base themselves here in the US. And yes, you're right, JT. I could possibly be pointing out a minor amount of hypocrisy in his current stance that all subsidies are bad. I have looked for Mr. Musk's fears and concerns on the massive federal government deficit, with those big old tax cuts passed under the Trump administration that went to people like him. Oh, sadly, I did not notice any articles noting his deep concerns about budget deficits at that time. I'm sure they're out there somewhere. So, you're damn right, Hockey Day. I support union workers over non-union. You're not going to see me say I am not biased. I am deeply biased because Tesla not protecting its workers. I don't know. What kind of issues have we heard happening at that factory? That's called we don't have a strong union to protect us from what's going on. So while I'm sure we're going to hear even more of the deep thoughts of Elon Musk, oh God, maybe we could just cut the crap. You took subsidies. You've been taking subsidies for a very long time. All your companies have subsidies, and it's not just federal government subsidies. Oh, is it just me now?
You're
Yes.
spotlighted.
Oh, my show.
Welcome to the Georgia Show. Here we go.
Wait, I had a cat. But as long as, let's get back to my point. But everybody's taken subsidies. We've always invested in companies to get them to grow. And the fact that people always, rich people always have a problem after benefiting from education. An educated worker base is what makes these companies work. Infrastructure. Oh, you think those roads that Teslas drive on and all your logistics use, that comes for free? That's an investment. Highway system is an investment that benefits you. Electrical grid. Private companies, they don't own the grid. They don't develop the grid. Most of them, that's a government investment right there. So please, spare me about budget deficits, because until I see rich people acknowledge that they don't become rich and create good companies with solid futures without a massive support system that requires taxpayers to invest in them and invest in those things, they've got nothing to talk about. Shut up, and for once in your freaking cheap, over-pampered life, pay your share of personal taxes and corporate taxes. You know why? You get to pay yourself $1 or whatever it is a year in salary, so you can walk around and swagger and say, I don't even take a personal paycheck. Well, guess what? That's because you don't pay any income tax, but your capital gains tax is way lower than income tax on an actual salary. So yeah, you use a lot of tricks, but you make a lot of money. Shut the fuck up and pay your damn taxes. And that's all there is to it. I'm done ranting.
Oh,
Wait 1 second. Just one little quick thing. To all the fanboys who are going to be pissed that I actually said something negative about Musk, I don't care. I don't want to talk to him. I don't care if I ever meet him. I don't want a dime from him. If I bought a Tesla, it would be because I want a Tesla. And the truth of the matter is, even a genius needs somebody to slap them upside the head and tell them to stop being a jerk.
I got a comment. Tesla's taken arguably $5 billion from the feds or as incentives
from 2015.
Grow,
from 2015.
to grow their business. Elon's arguably worth $300 billion now because of Tesla's success. You know what? Why doesn't he take $5 billion of his 300 and say, "Hey, feds, I'm going to give it back to you. Use it for the federal budget. Do something good with it. Thank you for growing my company, making me a gazillionaire." Because, yes, rich people would have still bought Teslas, but the tax credits that they had certainly helped move them along faster than they would have without them. And that's, I don't think anybody can do that. And
I would have to say, go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to say, and Elon, yes, he's worked hard and he came up with a great product and built a company, but the government kind of helped him along, and he can return the money now. He can afford it. That's my opinion. So I would have more respect for him if he said, "Hey, Joe Biden, I got a check for $5 billion for you. Where do you want me to mail it?"
Yeah, just return it. I mean, if you're honest about it, give back the money you've gotten over all these years.
Well, I think the federal government's going to benefit from just the taxation on his shares. I think he cashed out about 10% of his shares, and he had to spend about 54% of those earnings to the government in tax. So he's certainly paying back money that is taxed on his personal wealth. You're right. He takes $1 or something for his annual income.
It used to be minimum wage. Now it's $0.
So now it's at a point where all his earnings are from his stock, and selling 10% and having to pay 54% of that money earned from the stock price is certainly, that's over half to the government. So I think he is paying his fair share of taxes.
Is there any public proof that he's actually paid that, or is
Oh,
it
yes.
through a shell
Yeah.
company in the Cayman Islands?
No,
No,
it's all
it's
in his
publicly
name.
proven, 54%.
All right. Well,
Okay.
And then the
And
other
that's
thing
fine.
with that
But
is
that
that
is-
he
that is
could have
personal.
done those tricks that you were talking about earlier. He could have done those tricks instead of selling his oldest shares. He could have sold his newer shares and had less of a range. He was selling the oldest shares, generating the largest possible tax bill in this transaction as possible. I don't know why he would do this, but he did.
Just to pay extra tax. That's the only reason.
well, he's going to have to pay the tax eventually if he sells them. So,
Yeah,
Well,
but
you know-
Yeah, but
what normal
Elon
person
has been to this point.
increases
He's
it?
just been borrowing new loans based on the shares he owned.
Yeah,
So
he could have
he's
continued to
using
do
the
that.
shares he's owned as leverages for loans. That's what he was doing, keeping the stock. Because if you've noticed in the past number of years, the stock has been on a rocket ride up. So just banking that and cashing out at this point, like Kacey said, he could have played some tricks, accounting tricks with the money, but no, he didn't. He just paid straight on it, 54%. So I have to say that he's not completely hiding from this stuff. Yes, there are subsidies that Tesla took in, and yes, they probably wouldn't have succeeded if he didn't get some of those subsidies in the early days. But at this point, as I was going to mention in my walkthrough, is that Tesla has gotten to the point now where it doesn't matter. They've sold enough vehicles. They're profitable enough. They can get as much money as they want if they had to borrow it from any bank or institution that they would require. And with new factories coming online, it's nothing but blue sky out there for Tesla as far as we can see in the foreseeable future, unless some catastrophe happens. But at this point, it looks like they are set. They don't have to. And of course, in the world of Tesla, unlike the world of the other auto manufacturers that have not invested in, say, a charging network, that have decided to let third parties do it and they stay out of it, Tesla has designed a system that allows all of its drivers, in the vast majority of cases, to get a charge when they need a charge, to travel across the country when they need to travel across the country. And that certainly has allowed Elon to say, I've done it this way. Why haven't the others done it this way? Why do they require money from the federal government in order to do that? And it's a catch-22. I can see both sides of the argument, but at this point, maybe, well, not maybe, but Tesla's situation is they don't require it, and as far as they can see, with them even turning down subsidies now, they're turning down a German subsidy of over €1 billion because it doesn't fit the terms that they want, and they're able to do it because they've got the money.
There is one point I'd make about the German thing. There's a thing called quitting before you get fired. And I think it was a matter of them turning down the subsidy.
See, look,
before,
Russell, when it
before that
comes
was
to
rejected.
if you need the money, you'll do anything. How high do I have to jump? I'll jump it, because I need it. But Tesla, they don't need it. Not anymore.
I'm just going to interject a couple of things to Mark's point. There is a big difference between Elon's personal sales of his stock and the income he's generating from that, and that's a separate tax issue. And there's also the issue of Tesla paying her taxes, which is one of those things that multiple corporations just don't do. I appreciate what you're saying about their personal method of doing it. They've actually set up their own income stream with the charging network because access to that, it ties into the customer base. It's figuring out how they're going to let other people in if they choose to. I mean, it's still, as far as I recall from what I read, they've said that they're going to open that up, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be a charge too. And I think that's smart business. It's good that they invested there, but they are also still tapping into the infrastructure of each city that they place a charging base in to be tied to the grid. So it's fair that they did it that way, but that doesn't mean everybody else is going to do it that way. We all come up with different, everybody does something different. These businesses are all different, and that's fair. But when he sells his stock and gets hit with like whatever the tax charge is on that, that is his choice. Rich people gonna rich. I've worked with a number of them, and I've seen them make some choices that it's just like, well, you could have done it differently, but sometimes they just do it. And that's his personal income tax issue. But, well, not income tax, but his personal stock tax issue. But how Tesla gets taxed, and it still doesn't negate the point that they benefit from subsidies to start up. They benefit from the society that they're built in, from having certain things, which are part of government subsidies to make things run. So I respect what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying. For me, it's just like, but there's little niggling details that we kind of have to understand. They affect their ability to do that. And Tesla can do how it wants to do business. And if GM, if Honda, if any of those other manufacturers and how they do EVs wants to do it a different way, just like Tesla can make their way, so can they. And if they want to take government subsidies and be limited by government subsidies or expanded upon by government subsidies, that's up to them. The problem is somebody standing up who wouldn't be where he is today without government subsidization, saying government subsidization is a bad thing and it's evil, and he's fretting about a federal budget deficit, and then saying, we should stop that. But it's like, oh, so we should stop that now because now it's affecting what you don't like, which is your competitors having that. That's all. That's
The
all.
timing is
While
certainly
we're
convenient.
looking at these pennies that the electric car industry can extract from the government, we're missing the millions of dollars per second that the fossil fuel industry
No.
gets in subsidies right now.
Yes,
That's
but
a much
one
bigger
doesn't
issue for all of
make the
us.
other okay necessarily.
I didn't say it makes the other okay.
I just
saying it's a much bigger deal than what we're looking at right now, focusing on.
And I support ending those subsidies too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
To me, it's like,
I
all right,
say start with those.
Anybody
start with those.
do it all.
Yeah.
We can do both.
Do it all, but start with those. Yeah.
That said, there's no way to minimize or to overstate how convenient it is when you've attained comfort and security and wealth. Hey, fuck those subsidies, man. We don't need that. That's all bullshit anyway. Come on.
No one ever said that the man was good at understanding how to read a room.
Nobody ever said the man was good. I think enough proof that personally, not somebody I'm going to invite to dinner. But I agree. Hey, to me, I'm one of those people that every time I hear about such and such stadium is going to be built such and such place, and those cities or states are going to hand over billions of dollars to help create something that a bunch of millionaires and billionaires really, it's their form of Warhammer. It's just football team or a baseball team or a basketball team. It just pisses me off because I'd rather that money went somewhere else. But we're probably never going to end that. And completely sidestepping the EV part of it, a good portion of what used to lube the wheels of government and get people all on the same page, even no matter the party, was earmarks for stupid crap like this. And we took out earmarks, and things just went to hell in a handbasket. It's a balancing act. Everything's a balancing act. To people who shop too much will bankrupt themselves. People who won't shop at all look like they don't care for themselves. It's a balancing act, and that's personally, and that's also where it comes to subsidies. So my story is more about the hypocrisy and about the fact that if we're going to end subsidies, then yes, let's end subsidies to people who can definitely afford it. But if you're going to benefit from subsidies and then suddenly go, we shouldn't have subsidies because it's actually going to benefit people who are doing things that I don't want to do, which is have a unionized workplace, maybe that person needs to, get another haircut or something, fix something on themselves.
Can we talk about that haircut for a second?
No, because I really like Fifth Element, and I don't really understand taking the villain's haircut and walking around with it, and it's not Halloween.
So with the union situation, they haven't said don't go union. They've advised them not to accept the same union that dropped the plan on their ass the last time 2008 happened. They could start their own. They could join a different one. They're encouraged to do it. But
What?
yeah,
What are you talking about, Casey?
Numi.
He
No, me,
hates
yeah.
UAW.
he does.
I'm
but
sorry.
not
Wait.
not
Are
me.
you trying to suggest that Elon is encouraging his employees to unionize?
He said it a couple times on the record.
Oh, horseshit! Come on, grow up. No,
Run, y'all. It's gonna
Yeah.
get ugly.
come on. No, wait, Casey. Seriously, between you and
Okay.
me, do you really believe that Elon wants his workforce to unionize? Just not one of those bad unions? Do you believe that?
I think if you gave him a choice of they form their own or they join UAW, that he would pick their own. But
Right,
obviously,
their own. I don't know what. So, in other words, you can join this fictional thing that doesn't exist, or the real union that does exist, and I support you joining the.
you
Fictional
can pick
thing
something that's not the UAW. The UAW left them out on their asses when 2008 happened. Like, oh, Toyota, GM, sorry, we got to protect the
How did that
base.
affect Elon? I mean, he got a factory.
Those
for
are the
almost
same employees
nothing.
at the same plants. It's the
He got
exact
a
same building.
Factory for almost nothing, and he didn't have. And he hired all non-union employees.
He hired all those union employees back as non-union.
Yeah. Oh, victory.
Hey.
I'm
Well,
s-
the thing is, it's like watching the Kellogg situation where,
Ugh.
I don't know if people understand this, but Kellogg cereal factory workers have been on strike for 2 months. And Kellogg, just a couple of days ago, said they were going to fire all 400 and hire non-union. And it's like, really, Kellogg? Those 80-hour work weeks and unsafe working conditions, you can't negotiate any of that. I mean, the thing is,
Only if you want to.
employers do not like it when employees have a say and have any kind of negotiating power. They may say, oh, but of course, we want them to have a safe workplace. We want them to be able to negotiate for good wages, but on an individual basis, because everybody's situation is different, and because culturally we don't talk about what we get. It's considered to be impolite to talk about
They did that
benefits
to
and
us.
pay and everything else, and all your and perks and stuff like that. So we get away with paying, women less, minorities less, we can play tricks like we'll cap you at 36 hours because then you're not full time and you don't get full time benefits.
But isn't this why Colorado now requires everybody to publish their wages, and also why none of these places want to hire in Colorado now? Because they want to continue the inequalities, the inequity in the negotiations.
Well, that's America.
Yes.
America,
Information
we
is
don't
power.
like to negotiate
It is.
together.
And if you're not allowed to talk to your fellow employees about how much they make and what benefits they get, your employer has more power.
If they tell you that garbage, they're breaking the law. Talk anyway and report them.
Right. And then get fired and,
Oh yeah, I mean they'll get you for whistleblowing, but at least you did the right thing.
Oh, doing the right thing has never paid one
Never.
single
When you're
dime.
living in a shopping cart, doing the right thing is so
Yeah,
not
exactly.
satisfying.
Yeah, it's like I love doing the right thing, but I've gotten hosed so often by doing the right thing.
Which isn't to say that I don't fully support people doing the right thing. Absolutely do, Casey. Absolutely do. But damn, man, at personal cost. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
the perpetrators, it's all good.
They get a slap on the wrist if anything. Yeah.
Anyway,
But let's pull this back though to EVs because we're getting far afield into late.
We need to move on to the next one. Georgia, thank you for that, though. And that went much less. I thought there'd be more blood on the floor afterwards. So well done.
Hey. I am a shiv person, not a hatchet person. I like a gentle stiletto in the back or the front or across the throat. I'm not a beast.
I appreciate that distinction. And speaking of distinctions, I appreciate. You know who I'm going to introduce now, don't you, Mark?
No.
Let's go to Mark Coughlin for This Week in Tesla.
I was like, surely it's not Mark. That was a smooth transition.
I'm trying so hard with Mark. I'm trying so hard.
Yes, indeed. That was a much better intro, Russell. Much better.
Thank you.
What happened this week is, first of all, we have the Cyber Quad for Kids launched. Since there is no Cyber Quad launch, they decided to launch a kid's toy from Radio Flyer, I believe.
It is.
This is a 36-volt battery, 10-mile-per-hour top speed, and a 15-mile range that was introduced and promptly sold out. And of course, now the eBay hawkers are selling it. If you didn't get your chance to get it first, they're selling their reservations with huge markups. It's just
as
crazy.
much as $16,000.
Like it's absolutely.
That's what I said. That's a new car.
I'll walk, thank you.
For a $1,900 toy.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
Only a 20x markup.
Well, that's not saying anyone got that, but that's where we see
there are some
pricing.
closed sales for $7,000 though.
It's unbelievable, but that's the aftermarket working the price the way they can based on the quantities that are available. So
sneakers, tickets, computer parts. It's been a mess this year.
over and over. Another story that came out this week is this is kind of interesting. There's a town that's just outside of Toronto, Pickering, Ontario. It's just to the east of Toronto. A new housing development had decided that they wanted to do something different, that they could support the grid in their area. What they've done is they've connected 27 units. They put solar across the roofs of these units, and they fed the excess energy collected by those solar panels into a new Tesla power pack, actually 3 of them, that those units as a condominium share. So this has enabled the owners of these new homes to be able to save on their electricity bill somewhere between, they said 13 and 15%, okay? If the homeowner wishes, they can add an additional Tesla Powerwall to their home, which would be installed in one of their closets. And that would increase that savings to about a 50% mark. So this allows them, of course, to be also independent of the grid if there's ever a brownout or blackout, and they can survive. The whole group of 27 homes can survive off the 3 power packs that have been installed for the condo's use. So this is the start of this. We've seen some of these stories previously, especially in Australia, where the price of electricity is sky high. But it is good to see that we've got other groups now that are starting to dabble in this, other home associations, other groups that are building the homes, the developers. They're starting to put some of this stuff into place and allow people to experience it by just buying into the housing development. So that's a big plus, and we hope to see more of it.
You mentioned Australia. They're pushing for it to be illegal to, or not illegal, but super cost prohibitive to do this in Australia now, so they can keep getting their coal money.
Did some Florida politicians move to Australia? Is that what happened?
Oh, and Florida's trying again with the solar this year.
Oh man, that's just insane.
Mm-hmm.
But what can you do? It's Florida.
And Mark, if I'm not mistaken, isn't Pickering the town of Canada's first nuclear reactor?
Yeah, that just a nuclear reactor in Pickering.
Full circle back to solar. So
yep,
it's kind of cool.
Exactly. Also, this week in Tesla, a tweet went out to Elon concerning the Cybertruck, indicating that they had heard a rumor that Tesla was going to be offering 4 motors in the Cybertruck. And surprisingly enough, or not surprisingly enough, Elon responded immediately to the post and indicated that, yes, there was going to be a quad version of the Cybertruck. So now we're going, originally there was a single, a dual, and a triple motor that were offered when it was unveiled about 2 years ago. And now Elon has indicated that a quad version would be available, that people that have ordered certainly could upgrade their order. He had indicated that that certainly will be an option, not a surprise there. But it is interesting as to what will happen to the current single motor truck. Will it stay in production? Will it disappear? Not really sure. And the other thing that is really up in the air is pricing, because of course the truck came in at a just a sub $40,000 price tag for the single motor 2 years ago. But as anyone has noticed in the world of Tesla, the prices for their vehicles have done nothing but climb due to, as they indicate, part shortages or issues with production. Everybody's done it, and it is something that Tesla has certainly shown that they have no problem in raising the prices, trying to keep a certain
Weekly.
profit margin in mind, if not twice a week.
Yeah.
There certainly has been that. So really don't know where the pricing of the Cybertruck is going to end up. If they're going to keep the single motor, if they're going to drop it, we don't know. But this is all things that should be, I guess, maybe pointed out in Q4 when Elon is scheduled to give a roadmap of the Tesla product line, and has indicated that he will do that in early January with the Q4 earnings call. So we expect to get more information about the Cybertruck and what the variants are going to be at that point. But that is certainly news for people that have a Cybertruck order. I know Kacey, who's got one in there, immediately said, I'll get the quad, no problem. But, for those people maybe entering the market at $39,900 with a single motor, does their truck dream disappear because maybe the price jumps by 10 grand because you have to get a dual motor? Don't know. But that is certainly something that we'll be keeping our eye on.
And then you've still got you've got all these police departments buying Teslas right now, and all these fleets that were depending on the single motor and that lower pricing. What happens to them? Do they just have to go to the back of the line, or is their product gone? They certainly can't afford the other large size pickup trucks, except maybe the Ford if it does what they wanted. But the Hummer was never on the plate at 111 grand.
Yeah.
Well,
and certainly you look at the Rivian, and it's up there in price
smaller,
too.
though.
You're talking you're talking $70,000 for a Rivian.
Yeah.
But as we've seen Tesla in the past, they'll push the lower models to the back of the line to sell the high profit. So unless you have a contract that says you got to deliver this truck by this date, you're going to be waiting years to get the cheap ones.
So right. All the people waiting 3 years for their semi trucks.
Yeah.
or it may not even show up, like the Model Y rear-wheel drive long-range car. It was just canceled, and those people were given the option. You can get a dual motor, but the single motor is not coming. And after 2+ years, it's now been indicated that that's it. They're not making it because they're selling everything they have, and they're not having a problem. And they have a waiting list on top of it. People are just putting down their money and waiting. And now we've got, like, in some cases, 3/4 of a year, people are waiting for certain models of Tesla. So they've got no incentive because everything's pre-sold.
Yeah, and then the people who took them up on that initial offer, they got moved over at a fair price. But the people who held out hope that, okay, well, maybe in 2 years they'll come out with the rear-wheel drive, they got screwed. If they convert now, they pay current price.
Yeah. So it is something that it is a product of the environment currently, but who knows where it's going to end up. We're hoping that, of course, with the opening of Giga Berlin in Texas, we're hoping that that's going to free up, because, of course, extra manufacturing amounts certainly should help with pricing. And it also should help with wait times. But right now, Tesla just is selling everything they got and more.
Yeah, they get those wait times back down under a month. We'll see massive discounts every week instead of moderate raises every week
Yeah.
because they want to keep those factories running. Now they've got 4 of them.
And with that, back to Russell.
I kind of wanted to ask just a quick question to Mark and Kacey. Based on what you're saying, I mean, that couldn't leave customers feeling too happy.
Oh no, not at all.
What do you guys think is going like? Do you think that people are going to start canceling some of those outstanding orders? I mean, if I wanted a truck, I expected it this year or at least 2022. If I'm going to hear that I'm going to wait another year for that, and I cannot imagine, especially a fleet order.
Right. If they're going to honor the original pricing, then I can see more people hanging on. I understand some people need a truck and their lease is up or it's just time. But what I see happening is if they raise the price, we'll see a lot more cancellations than if they just said, all right, well, if you got your order in and you don't change anything, we're either going to up you to the next motor or we're going to leave the price and you got to wait another 6 months or whatever. Those people will be fine. But like I said, the leases and then anybody who gets the price raised on them, it's not going to be pretty.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Russell.
I got nothing. Oh. I'm hosting the show. I forgot.
Yeah, that part.
Thank you so much for that, Mark Coughlin. Do follow him at the Tesla Life on Twitter and look for the shiny red logo. Search for the Tesla Life Show on YouTube and follow him there for more details on Tesla news from a good news source, not one of those crappy ones because there's so many. Anyway, let's go to Kacey Green for a story. Yeah, let's just go to Kacey.
Okay, so there was a big contention at Rivian and their ability for their truck to tow. What happened was a publication made a video towing with their Rivian, but their methods were immediately questioned to the point they took the video down. I went looking for the video and it was gone. But the reason I left this as my choice for an article this week was here, we all started with Prius and hybrids and hypermiling, and we always had a saying, YMMV, your mileage may vary. You have to realize that the ratings are done on conditions that most people won't adhere to when they do their driving. Where this publication kind of got off the rails is what they did was they were towing over the rated weight of the vehicle. So they were towing, like, say it's rated for 10,000, they were towing 14,000. Towing is done at 55 miles an hour or 50 miles an hour, depending on where the manufacturer does their testing legally. And they were doing 74 at some points. And so when they said, oh, we lost 64% of our range towing, everybody else was like, well, you retained 40% of your range driving like a jerk.
Well, and that being said, if you were in a gas truck or a diesel truck,
yeah,
going 75 miles an hour, or you'd have really
over your weight limit,
mileage,
yeah,
as well. So let's say it's
and it'd be lower because when you stop, you don't get any of that back on a fossil truck. It all goes to friction. Yeah.
I mean, towing hammers your efficiency on any vehicle.
Mine goes way down.
Everything that goes.
Yeah.
Look, I just want what I want. Okay, so leave me alone. Okay, just.
Well, and that's their prerogative, assuming that that their load doesn't become to the point where they end up killing somebody on the road. But then they also don't have the right to complain about fuel economy if they're over the rated weight of the vehicle, over the speed limit. And I mean, more power to them as long as that load doesn't come loose or a tire blow out and take somebody else who has no business with this out in the process.
And anybody that owns a truck that's towed knows that they're going to take a huge hit in efficiency in any vehicle. So that you just got to factor that in. There's no way you're going to 300-mile range truck when it's not towing is going to get even close to that towing.
Exactly.
Unless you're towing like a 50-pound trailer.
My vehicle can not usually pass any supercharger stalls when towing at the max, right. And I don't exceed the max because at the time I was towing, I still had a warranty.
Right.
And then you didn't.
Then I drove out of it.
It's but it's this kind of stuff that like I'm just going to come up with some bullshit so I can throw mud at a manufacturer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the exact same performance, no matter what the powertrain is. If you're towing 1,500 pounds, hey, guess what? It's going down.
Yep.
What a surprise!
So we'll see this same article happen again.
The Dodge Ram ad that says we have a 8,500 towing capacity. It doesn't say at 4 miles per gallon.
No, they don't. 2 or 4, yeah.
They don't flash that up on the screen, do they?
Right. We're going to see this again a couple more times. We're going to see it with the Cybertruck. We're going to see it with the F-150. We're going to see it with the E-Silverado. We're going to see it with the Hummer. Not so much with the Hummer because those people already didn't care about fuel economy from the fossil to the EV. But again, it goes back to what Georgia keeps telling us, and I touch on it occasionally, is be a responsible consumer of news. Look at the data, and folks did that here, and it was to the point where the publication embarrassed themselves and had to delete their video.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being reasonable, Kacey. It's not often on What Drives Us we're the voice of reason, is it?
About once or twice a month.
Once or twice a month. Yeah, we tend to be the voice of passionate disagreement. Well, speaking of, no, we're not going to go there. Paul, I bet you have a news story to end this evening.
Yeah, I have a kind of a fun story for those of you who've been under a rock for the last 20 years. Smartphones are pretty popular. Everybody has one in the pocket, and a lot of cars have smart keys. And I know you Tesla guys will say, hey, Tesla has a smartphone key feature, but it looks
Not
like what's that?
Mine's too old.
Yeah. And if anybody's owned a car with a smart key like this is a Toyota Prius smart key. You lose this guy and go to the dealer, you're looking about $350 to get a replacement.
What?
Come down, mine was $600.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, where you go? Independent guys are a lot cheaper. But anyway.
Oh, there you go.
Android and Apple have said now that all of the next gen phones, and some that are out now, will have smart key feature set to pair with your car. Now, of course, it's going to start out with BMW and Mercedes and all that, but just like smart keys are on pretty much any car you can get now, in a few years, you won't need a separate key for your car. You'll carry your phone, and you want to loan your car to someone, you can just basically email them a token and set parameters. It will expire tomorrow. You can't go over 65 miles an hour. All kinds of cool flexibility. And for the consumer, they don't have to carry another thing in their pocket. And the technology's there. And there's two technologies. The older technology's NFC, which you've probably used to pay with your phone at a credit card terminal, where it has to touch the phone. You have to take it out of your pocket. The wideband system works like the smart key. As long as it's on you and you get within so many feet of the car will unlock and you can get in and drive it away. So kind of neat technology that's going to benefit all drivers of all vehicles in the coming years.
I think that this will happen faster than we've seen other techs happen, because this allows the manufacturers to save a lot of money per car, even on the budget cars. Anything that's got the key fob, they don't have to pay a vendor to handle the keys and the rotations. They don't have to. They can outsource the security of said keys, and you'll see it even on entry level cars.
You can just basically give the renter a token instead of giving them a physical key that they're going to lose. And It's a nightmare when someone loses a key to a rental car, because the rental car company doesn't have a backup key. If you've ever noticed, they give you both keys with the car, and then if you lose it, you've lost all the keys for the car, and they charge you a horrendous amount of money to rekey the car. So lots of you're seeing it in hotels now. Some of the modern hotels, you can just touch your phone to the door and it will unlock your suite. So it's kind of neat integration of all existing technologies that pretty much everybody has in their pocket.
Yeah. I think the only reason we're seeing it on luxury first is because they can sell it in addition to the key that you already get. And it's, ooh, look at this. It's so convenient, blah, blah, blah. But they're going to be cutting costs just like they always do. Oh, that grommet costs 10 cents. I need it down to 5.
Well,
and you'll still need a backup key, like the model.
Yeah, like Tesla's key card.
Credit card thing that, because imagine if you lost your phone, now you can't drive your car.
Yeah.
And the Mercedes dealers have lots of other ways to eke out a couple of dollars in service. The Toyota dealers and the Chevy dealers, they want to charge us 5, 6, whatever it is, 100 for that key replacement. They're not quite as eager to roll that bad boy out.
Right.
And I just want to point out that convenience makes you vulnerable.
It can.
I'm just saying.
But the beauty of this is there's nothing to pick. So at this point, as long as you and the manufacturer practice good data sanitization, it's
And the
chance to
cars
be better.
that have internal cameras can then verify you by facial recognition that you're not only the person with the phone, but you're the actual registered user of that phone. So if someone steals your phone, they can't just go steal your car as well.
There you go.
Bruce in the
Triple
chat
yikes.
just said, "What if they start charging a subscription fee for your phone key?"
They
you
they
can have a phone
probably
key.
will.
Yeah,
They might.
a phone key for $5 a month.
Lexus did that a couple years ago.
BMW.
$10 a month for your heated seat. BMW.
No, Lexus did that. They had a button on the remote for remote start, and in the
Oh, that
fine
too.
print,
Yes.
the first 3 years you got free remote start, and after 3 years the feature vaporized, and they said, "Oh, if you want that, it's $15 a month after you're already used to using," and that was really sleazy.
That is cool.
And that does not require
Literally.
any cloud services. That was a peer-to-peer thing, and they just did that to screw the customer.
Oh, you want me to wind that clock for you? That's going to be $192 to wind that clock for the next 3 years.
Look, I only like my predators to be lions and tigers and bears. I don't like it when it's my freaking car manufacturer.
Exactly.
This
But
is why
they'll
I
add
have
features that you can, preheat the car with your phone. Like I said, if you have a teenager in the household, you can give them a key to the car that turns into a pumpkin at midnight, and they can't go over 60 miles an hour. So there's some cool features that they could come up with that might be worth $10 a month to some families.
Oh, so why did you spend the night at Tommy's house? Oh, you couldn't start the car because you weren't home for curfew.
Yeah.
man. No.
So-
Oh man.
So the days of traditional car keys and fobs and smart keys, they're numbered. So.
Well, I don't know what to say. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Obviously, the phone is the one thing everybody has in their pocket all the time, right? It's killed this thing. Remember these? Remember when we wore those?
And cameras and video cameras.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now this does everything. And you know what? In a way, this is a brilliant camera. It's a great clock. It's really good
It's
at
an
what it
alarm
does.
clock. It's a
Yeah, that's
radio.
all I take unless I need a pro camera for like I'm going on a photo shoot. I'll bring a camera to that. But if I'm just out and about, like, I need to take a picture. There's no pocket camera anymore. It's the phone. Done.
Yeah, it is very convenient for that, but yeah, I prefer using my camera. But no, this is, although granted, this is a digital monster too, because it's also blood pressure monitor, heart rate monitor,
Yeah.
everything else monitor. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Nickel and diamond, especially, it's funny to me that it's always the luxury models that are just constantly dip it into your pocket over and over again.
Oh, they'll never notice. It's a banana. What could it cost? $10?
What is it? Yeah, just $10. I don't know.
Nice one.
I like the features, Paul. It sounds cool, and I could see many parents using the features to lock their kids out of the car, not even use it. But I'll stick to my little analog key, that no fob, no nothing, because to me, I keep a lot of things separate. Convenience is a vulnerability. That's all I'm gonna say on that one.
Well, after I see the lockpicking lawyer rip through a lock in 12 seconds, I mean, I'm willing to try something new.
Well, and every system can be defeated.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Every
That-
system,
yeah.
yeah.
And some of the worst cars are the mechanical key cars, like the Hyundais and the Kias. Like
Ugh,
Yeah.
you can steal one of those real easy. So
I wish somebody would. Oh, okay, let's do some shout outs and go home. I think we've done a fine show. And Paul, thank you for ending us on an exciting
New tech.
technological note. Well, soon, as JT24 says in the chat, soon we'll own nothing and we'll be happy.
That's right.
It'll all be a subscription fee.
It's like that movie where they're exchanging time on their wrists, and then you just drop dead because you ran out of time.
Yeah, you're done. Georgia, contrary to tradition, I'm going to start with you for shout-outs.
Why? Well, my shout outs is, of course, always to the awesome people I get to do the show with. Don't forget, Mark knows all, sees all. He's collecting all this information of the Tesla life. So you need to head on over his channel, hit like and subscribe, get all your Tesla information, including the minutia of Elon Musk's stock sales. So yes, that's where you need to go. And Casey's, again, I keep telling you guys this, you got to stop him. He's training the AI for this Teslas. They're going to take over. But you get to watch him try new things, download the latest updates to software, test supercharging. It's pretty cool. And don't forget, he also does a live chat because I get a lot of notifications because, of course, I like and subscribe Casey's channel. What are you talking about?
Thank you. Yeah.
And Paul's over there, Boulder Hybrids. And Russell was saying, not normally the voice of calm. Excuse me. Paul is always the sensible, calm way. Paul is a total chill dude. He has to be. You know why? Because all them tiny little parts, because the minute I tried to change the light bulb in the back of my Fit and I dropped the light bulb down in there, that was because I didn't have Paul's chill. He would have been able to change it and not be sitting there with a fishing tool trying to get it out of the back of the freaking Fit. Mechanics have to be chill. Paul is chill. He is our voice of reason and sanity on this show, unlike me. And also, I'm going to point out I got my booster today, so that's my 3-peat of vaccine. Go out and get your boosters. Don't worry too much about variants. Just take care of yourself. And that's it.
I get my booster tomorrow at 3.
Oh, there you go.
For you.
Casey Green, what's new and exciting in your world, sir?
So, as Georgia said, I am training the AI, but they seem to have skipped me for this particular version. So, as soon as I get it, I'll have something to say about it. And if I don't get it, there'll be just yet another one I've skipped. The last one I did to myself, 10.3, we missed it because I was chatting and I hit update, and then it was a downgrade.
Maybe the AI is training you.
A little bit of both, and then I've got a nice video out of off of Cape Cod and a couple other accessory videos coming out for the Tesla as well. You can find them at youtube.com/Kacey Green. That's KACEYGREEN. And as Georgia said, every Sunday at 1:10 p.m. we chat for a little while, anywhere from 1 hour to 3 hours. Just come on through. It's kind of an open door, revolving door. We'll see you there.
There you go. Do follow Kacey and check out his channel. And of course, he's Mr. Superchargers. If you want to know where your Tesla software should be at, he might be the person to talk to, even if he can't unlock his car with his phone.
I can unlock it. I just can't do it automatically.
Absolutely. Mr. Coughlin.
I would like to reach out to those still watching this program at this point and please ask them to press that thumbs up button.
Oh, I thought
Press
you were
the
going to ask
bell.
what the hell was wrong with them if they're still watching. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Press the bell. Get alerted when we put out a new show. Russell puts out new shows every once in a while, and we don't even know what's going to happen.
At random, so all of a sudden the
we
phone
don't
goes
know.
off.
So
Watch Russell.
Yeah. Gotta get on that so you're always alerted when a new What Drives Us show goes out. Of course, you can follow What Drives Us on all the different social media channels. Just look up What Drives Us. They're all there. So some aren't used, but I'm not going to mention that today.
Instagram.
Russell will not wear the hot pants.
And last and not least, of course, if you're watching YouTube and you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? It's free. Press that button. Give us a subscribe. Helps us out in the numbers. Helps us get in front of new eyeballs. And we appreciate the support. Back to you, Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Coughlin. I appreciate that. And again, don't forget to support Mark's show, The Tesla Life, which is excellent. And you can, not one of the evil Tesla shows. No, they're the good guy Tesla show. I want to thank Mark Coughlin, Paul Guzik, Georgia McKenzie, and Kacey Green for another excellent show. I want to thank JT24, Bruce, Hockey Day, and that might be it in the chat room tonight. As always, I want to thank Michael Mannering for his theme music. Visit him at manthing.com and buy a song or two, please. And then last and not least, thanks to all of you for watching and or listening. Tune in next week and find out what drives us. Or should I say, what drives us? What drives us?
What drives you?